We've got the Medaka fry. These are the ones that I grew out from those eggs. We got my Rusties over here. Seem to be doing well. And then I'll get something for this middle container, but yeah. We're finally gonna do it. We're gonna do a much needed project that I've had in my mind for a while. Since we are getting so many fry, I do want to increase the chance of the fry survival. So we are going to make a fry kit. I don't know if that's what you call it, but I ordered these from Amazon. So I think you can order them in like 1-piece, 3-piece, 6-piece. I don't know. There's different options. I'll provide the link in the description below. But these are little bins. The dimensions are 11 inches long by 7.5 inches wide and 6 inches high. This was the closest I found. I've been looking for a while because I am going to make these. I'm going to put them inside of a tank, and I think I'm choosing to do a 20 long because I want to empty one out. But the 20 long is 12 inches front to back. These are 11 inches. That leaves me, you know, I mean, it's pretty much the full span. It's close as I can find. There were smaller ones, but that will require, you know, just more adjusting to get them to fit in there. I know Dean has a setup like this, and then I forgot the other YouTuber's name. He went and kind of did his own thing as well. He used kind of screws to drill in there. I don't think I want to do that. I might have these float in the water. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I wanted to get this started because I do want to mimic their painting the under half of the bins white, just so you can easily view the fry from the top side a lot better. So I'm going to get these unwrapped. What we're going to do is we're going to take painter's tape and mask it up. I do have the Krylon Fusion in the white, and then we're going to paint them. But before we paint them, we're going to do a little prep work. After I tape them up, I'm going to scuff it very lightly with some sandpaper, probably some fine grit sandpaper, just so the paint will stick to it better. So that's kind of the plan. Let's jump into the prep work. So after looking at the reviews, I did see some. Okay, so this is how it comes. It just comes completely stacked inside of a box, just wrapped in plastic. Not a lot, but I guess I have seen people say, you know, it has come cracked on the bottoms or where they hit. I've also heard that it's really difficult to take apart, which there's little plastic pieces, so you know this is sliding out pretty easily. This is how it looks like. I don't know if you could tell. The bottom is textured. The inside is not. It's still smooth. So that's great that the inside is smooth. And then pretty much the idea is about, I don't know, a third, at most a half. We're going to just paint the whole underside white. The reason I'm going to tape it off is just because I want a cleaner look. It does have two handles. Now in these two handles, I am going to cut out some sponge material to put in there. So the idea is to have a water pump kind of drip water into each of these containers, and then it'll overflow out into the sponge, into the tank water. So let's say this was a gallon of water. Instead of just having a gallon of water for each batch of fry, they'll technically have, you know, almost 20 gallons, since the complete water circulation is of the total amount of water that you're using. So if this was just a standalone, I put a heater in here, and then I just had water with maybe a filter or a bubbler, they would only have about a gallon of water. But since it has the continual water flow, that is just going to adjust the water volume to equal the complete setup. So fresher water for the fish, less maintenance time between water changes, and I think overall it's going to be more beneficial for the survival rate of my fry, which I've been trying to figure out because I got them in those little breeder boxes. So it has a continual water flow, but they're just so small that, you know, every now and then I do see a casualty in there, and I think this would be more beneficial for the fish in my fish room. So yeah, so that's the idea. So far, they seem to be, in great condition, coming apart fairly easily. Might just give the insides a little rinse. I see some little plastic scraps, little residue. But yeah, they look really nice. I have used like shoe boxes you guys seen in my betta breeding video, but those are like more opaque, so they're not as clear to see through, but these are very clear. So we'll take these apart. I will tape them up. I'm definitely not going to paint indoors. It is winter, so we had some snow last night. It's freezing, so we're just going to try to do as much prep work indoors as possible, and then just go out to paint. Do remember that colder temperatures will reduce drying time of your paint. So, after I finish a couple coats, I'm going to have to let these dry for, probably 48 hours to be safe, for the paint to cure, to be so it can be non-toxic in the water. For that purpose, since the bottom half will be touching the bulk of the water volume inside the 20-gallon long. Krylon Fusion, I have not used it yet. Everywhere I looked said it's okay for inside the tanks after it fully cures. So we are going to give it that 48-hour cure time just to be extra safe, because these are fry, they are going to be more sensitive, and I don't want anything to kind of hurt their water conditions, just because, I don't want that for any of my fish, but the fry especially, because they might, react to it much faster, more negatively than the adult fish. So those are all unpacked. I'm going to tape it, mask it off, and then probably continue the video from there. Okay, so I got my tools, my sandpaper, got my newspaper, got my painter's tape. So what I'm going to do is kind of measure it out about how much I want to paint, and ideally it's going to be a good chunk of it. It's probably looking like about half right there. Since it's not completely even, as it kind of tapers to the bottom, taping it up is not going to be as even as you may want it. So in this case, we're going to break it off into a couple different pieces, because the tape is just going to overlap and create a fold, if that makes sense. So we're going to tape it off each side rather than using a continuous piece of tape. All right. All right, so there it is. That's what it's going to look like. Pretty decent job. It is going to be about half. And then now what I'm going to do is seal off the top portion with some newspaper. Luckily I've got a bunch of old newspaper still. And let's see. We are just going to seal off the tops. Do this. It's going to be close. All right. So we'll start with one end. Right, so take some tape. Start at one end, and I'm just going to tape it down right there, just so it doesn't bleed in to the clear part, which I'm not trying to paint. Just like that. And then I'm just going to mask it off all the way around. And hopefully it forms a nice seal. All right, that is one. That's how one complete one is going to look. Piece. So then I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper and sand it down. Just very lightly. All right, if I cut this in half. Just a very light scuff. If you can see that, you can see on the right side, that's the lightly scuffed versus the left, which is the completely smooth. So, I mean, no more than that is required. And I'm sure doing a little bit more is not gonna hurt. But then I'm only doing this to 3 containers because only 3 of them will fit. Now this sanding part is not necessary, just in case you ever feel like reversing the process, you won't have like a scuffed up bottom portion. But I only bought these containers specifically for this purpose. So we are just gonna scuff them all up. All right, make sure you get the corners. Bottom as well. All right. The bottom already has those texture lines, so I think it's not going to be as important. But there we go. As you can see, you can not see as clearly through it. Just want to make sure the tape's nice and sealed around the rim. And we're going to do that to 2 more and then take it out to paint. Okay, all 3 containers are prepped. I've sanded them all. Big step that you don't want to miss is taking a damp towel, just very lightly damp, and then just wiping off the part that you sanded, because all that dust, all the little plastic is still going to be on there. Most of it will probably be on there. So you just want to make sure you wipe it away so you do get that smooth finish when you paint it. And then I'll just let it dry before I start applying the first coat of paint. And then while you're doing this, you can always make sure your first initial seals are firmly pressed and completely on the bottom for that baseline of that paint. Do this 1, 2, and then the last one. All right. Wipe it down, firmly press tape. All right, and now everything should be good to go. And you should be as set up as possible. All right, so those are good. Let's take these 3 to the garage and start painting. All right, this is the setup so far. Got on top of boxes with a little bit of a backsplash to it, so I'm not overspraying. Just gonna take the Krylon Fusion in a matte white and give it some light coats. I'm usually super impatient when I do this stuff, and I'll give it a much thicker coat than needed. I'm gonna try to do this pretty clean this time. Should be good for now. And then, yeah. All right, that's coat 1. I'll let that dry for See how it's dripping right there? Let that dry for probably about 30 minutes since it's so cold. And then, I mean, if I really wanted to, I could just sand that down after it dries so it stays smooth, but I'm not worried about that. But we're gonna wait about 30 minutes and then apply another coat, wait another 30 minutes and do another coat. I think 3 coats should be good. All right, so it's definitely been over 2 days. I did go and kind of sand down some of these. I don't know if you can see these drips. But there are some parts that didn't get sprayed too well. But for now, it'll do. I think I'd rather just go ahead and get this started rather than be a perfectionist about it. But I mean, it's good enough. It's good enough for the purpose. You see some drips there. Some of these edges, like right there, it's a little clear spot. But let's go ahead and unwrap those. I've been really debating on where I was going to set it up. The initial thought was to do it in my 20 longs, and I think I'm just going to do it to this guy. This one definitely needs a deep cleaning, and I've got 3 bedders in there. I'm going to just rehome them. I've got some empty space in here, and then I think I might just drop a female or 2 in my community tanks, and they should be fine because I've had females in community tanks before. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and tear down that tank, give it a clean. I might just leave the substrate in there because it's got a lot of the beneficial bacteria, so I don't have to do any of that jumpstart method. Plus, it's got the canister filter, which I think is going to go well with the idea I have. So, I mean, I was playing with the 22 long here, and it fits almost perfect. I was debating, but I don't have anywhere to put that for now, so that I'm just going to go with the 20 long. So essentially what I'm going to do is, let's take one of these. These little cutouts right here. I'm going to put a sponge in there for the overflow of the water while I use the canister spray bar for the intake. Yeah, whatever the water is going in, and then the water is going to drip out of here through the sponges. It's going to act sort of like a filter, and it's going to keep that drip system going. So let's go ahead and clean out that tank. Okay, cleaned out my tank. Now it's time to get these guys situated. Let's take off the wrapping and the tape, and then hopefully the paint doesn't peel too bad. Alright, so I'm going to start by making one, show you guys how I'm going to do it, and then I will do the rest. So that's how it's looking. I mean, it'll do. It serves its purpose. I've got some overspray somehow. Yeah, just a little bit of overspray. All right, so it's actually not bad. It looks pretty clean. One more piece. Not to scratch the paint off. And voila. So we're looking like that. Looks pretty good. From the bottom side, it looks a lot better. Can't really see any imperfections, minus the overspray. I don't know how picky I'm going to be with that, but it should just scratch off. That's okay. All right. We'll worry about that another time. So what we're going to do, I've got this filter pad. I'm going to kind of measure how big I need to make the squares to act as a filter. I just do it going this way across. So let's give it a little bit of space. Let's say about right there. Let me go as straight as I can all the way across. Like so. And then measure it. So that's going to be for one. So that's going to go inside that little hole. See it better from there. And times 2 for the other side. Perfect. So, boom, boom. Now, I don't know. The tip that I learned to get these in, it might have been from Weldon, I think his YouTube channel is we're going to cut it, I don't know how you call it, lengthwise. We're going to cut it widthwise. I don't know. However you're cutting it like this is what we're going to do. That way, this is going to create a groove for you to put or stuff inside that slot. I don't know if I might need a sharper knife. There we go. All right. I think we're getting it good enough. So I'm just continuously just cutting around and leaving the center part uncut. And what that's going to do is it kind of opens it up like this. All right, and then this is going to fit right there inside this slot perfectly. All right, so it's secured in there. Nothing's getting in or out except for water. So that's exactly how you want to do it. Obviously, if you want to cut it smaller, cut it down to make it look prettier, that is an option, but that's going to be great for just what we need. So I'm going to do that one more time with the second piece. Should be able to do this one a little bit faster. All right. All right. Slide this guy in, tuck it in, push it in, pull it out. Anything you got to do. And there we go. Perfect. So that's what it looks like, both sides. And I think we're going to give it a rinse and plop it in. Let me do this to the other two, and I'll be right back. Tank set up. Got my water polisher just to get a little bit of the debris out that was on the bottom. I took out everything, and then I put back the lava rocks just for beneficial bacteria housing, and they're easy to remove. That pouch right there is pretty much a stocking stuffed with more lava rock, and that's so I can just take it out, put it inside of a hang-on back filter or inside another tank to insta-cycle it. So I was going to do this on a different tank, and I bought a water pump, and the idea behind this was I was going to lead it up to some airline hosing or something that's really small that'll kind of branch off into a T, and then I'll have it drip down into each one of these containers, and then that T will just continue and so forth. It will be down here, it'll go up, drip water into the first container, continue into the second and the third. and then it'll overflow out of the sponges, and then, you know, cycle that way. But since I am utilizing this tank, I don't need to use the water pump anymore, because if you guys remember, this tank had the canister filter with the spray bar. Now the spray bar is going to do the exact same thing. It is going to plug in there. I'm going to have the water so it shoots out into these containers. So the containers are going to be here, let's say. It's going to empty out into them, and then they're going to overflow out through the sponges, and then the cycle of water is going to continue that way. So we're going to go ahead and get it set up as the water polishes. Let's see how the water flows. All right, let's put it here for now. But this actually looks like it'll fit really well, nice and snug. Yeah, actually that's pretty good. So it will work. Now the only thing is how I am going to get this water to empty into these bins. Because as you can see, too much water and it sinks. I might have to go the route where I am kind of hanging it somehow. Let me show you guys the idea. So this tank, or this bin, is completely filled with water. And if I lift it up, it's just gonna overflow. It's just gonna slowly come out from those sponge areas. Okay, idea number 2. I bought a pack of these guys. It's pretty much the pool noodles, but they're black, and they have already got sticky. I guess it's only on one side, so it's got a sticky part on one side. I was thinking about just putting it on so it floats a little bit, cut it right here, and put them on either side. I might do that. I'm gonna see what I can do with this, and we might just go that route. Okay, after debating a couple different options, I think the easiest right now is going to be just to use these plastic shoe boxes. Reason being, it's late and I don't want to, let me rinse this off. And with the foam insulation tube, only one side was sticky, and then I would have to figure out how to stick the other side, and then possibly wait until that adhesive dried, maybe even cured. And then I saw these guys were not doing anything, so I just grabbed them, and I think it's a good enough height where we should be able to make it work. So far everything's looking like it's gonna be just fine. Get some water in this last container. Now that water's filling up, let's where did I put the spray bar piece? Not need all the attachments. Just gonna wait till it fills up. Make sure the sponges are still good. This guy, I want to make it so it's gonna chill in. That will do until it. Yeah, actually, that's not bad. Okay. I have to be like that. it's too wobbly. All right, leave it like that. Everything looks like it is doing all right. Raise it a little bit more. Just rubber banded it. It's gonna give me a little bit of a higher. There we go. Okay. Water level is good. I might be able to raise the water level a little bit more. Yeah, I should be able to raise the water a little bit more. Can you guys hear that? Well, I put my microphone there. That sound might drive me crazy. It's kind of how it's looking like right now. You can see the spray bar from the canister is doing great. That's essentially what it's going to look like. I've got the 3 containers. As you can see, the overflow sponges are working. And it's just kind of chilling on those bins. We're gonna think of a more permanent solution that looks a little bit cleaner than this, but this is not bad. I still have water circulation in the bins. So I was thinking about putting it upside down to get more of that surface area for them to balance on, but then there's gonna be all that water inside that's not gonna have a flow to it. And then, yeah, I think this will be good for now. All right, so main purposes of doing this, I started noticing that all the lights are off, but these guys, where's my finger? There's a dead one right here. They're not doing great. I mean, they're doing great. They're not doing excellent. There's probably about 20 in here. I've noticed that maybe like one die off every, like, I don't know, maybe a week. They're still too small. I didn't know where else I could put them to be able to feed them properly and have them grow out. So they've been in there for probably 2 weeks now. Yeah, I probably had like 2 or 3 deaths. And that's actually not ideal. So I wanted to come up with a fry system, and those guys are gonna get transferred in there. Just because, I don't know, number one, this doesn't look the greatest. And number two, this is such a, I mean, technically it's 55 gallons flowing in there, but this guy gets dirty so quickly. It's all that, you know, poop and stuff on the bottom. These guys, only a few of those. And then I've got my Medaka fry. We are going to move them into here. I think that's gonna give us a really good chance, best survival. I mean, it is already, just in this container alone, a lot more space. I might have to do something. Might have to put some sponge or something under that water, because yeah, it is kind of strong. But if I just tilt it backwards a little bit, hold on a second. If I angle it slightly to the back, so it's kind of hidden the. See, that already sounds a lot better. I just don't know if, you know, it's just going straight out. I mean, obviously not all of it is, but that actually might be okay for now. And I guess as long as we got circulation, as long as we can see the water coming out this way, there we go. That we're looking good. Except for this guy. This guy might be tilted too much the other direction. We'll figure that out. But yeah, I guess that works. Sounds a lot better. Perfect. Okay. I think we can move some fry. All right, so I know there's beneficial bacteria in here. I'm just not sure how much. So I'm just gonna add some Fritzheim 7 just to ensure everything is good. Just gonna do 1 cap forward right by the intake filter for the canister. And then we'll go catch some fish. All right. Accidentally caught the unalive one. All right, the fry are in. A light glare. Yeah, whatever. You guys have to deal with that. But we've got the Medaka fry. These are the ones that I grew out from those eggs. We got my Rusties over here. Seem to be doing well. And then I'll get something for this middle container. But yeah, I think that's good. I mean, we're not gonna be able to really see them from the side because it's painted white. I mean, maybe I should have brought it a little bit lower. But from the top, that's how I'm gonna look at them. I'm gonna feed them this way. I'm gonna look at them this way. I'm gonna count them and watch them grow. Look at those size differences. They're all hatched from the same batch of eggs. Isn't that crazy? Those two right there. Jeez. But yeah, I mean, that was awesome. I don't know what took me so long to do this. You know, just like the air system, there's a lot of things in my fish room. I always think it's a great idea, but never think I'm gonna do it until I do them because, you know, it's more beneficial for the fish. It's definitely gonna be easier for my maintenance schedule. So yeah, I think that's it. That's pretty much a wrap. You guys will probably see more evolutions of that as I get a more permanent setup going. I'm just gonna pop on the lid and turn off the light and call it a day. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.